As a surfing sewer or a sewing surfer, I know the importance of keeping my board in proper condition. Now this ironing board's about ready for a new cover. How about that for a tutorial today? Let's get started. Hey, if you've been using your iron and ironing board properly, it's starting to look a lot like this. This thing is trashed and ready for a new cover. And I love to put a fun cover on it because it's going to be hanging out in my studio. So I like to use something that is fun to play with instead of the standard. And so this week I'm choosing the Luxe from Michael Miller. I also chose it because it's 108-inch wide backing. So you're just going to need 3/4 of a yard, and it's a real heavy thread count. So it's going to last for a long time. You're going to need some parachute cord or some sort of cording for your drawstring. And then I love these little double cord locks so I can make a nice adjustment. We're making this very generic, so the better the drawstring, the better it fits, if you know what I'm really saying there, okay? So the only other thing we're going to need for this is the ironing board cover, the old one, or better yet, the padding, because we're going to make our own template using the original. So I just take my fabric and I'm going to lay it out so that I've got the whole place to work on. And then I'm going to use, like I said, the padding from my ironing board. But the padding from the ironing board is only the size of the top. It only fits on the top of the board. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut roughly a 5-inch perimeter all the way around so that we can wrap it around the edge. We're going to do a single row of stitching to kill the raw edge, and then we're going to do a second row of stitching to create the casing that the drawstring is going to go into, right? So here you see it, and I can either cut or trace around this, but I just want a 5-inch perimeter here to create what will become the ironing board cover. Here you see it all cut out, and you can tell it's not perfect. This can be real rough because, again, we have a lot of fabric to pull around the underside, but that actually makes it nice and secure and stays fit well on our ironing board. So I'm going to get this padding out of the way, and by the looks of it, I probably should cut another piece of polyester batting that I could put right on top of this just to put a little bit more life cycle in this piece of padding. Okay, now we're going to be working on this so that this is the right side. So I'm going to come over to my machine, and my first seam allowance is going to be roughly a 1/4 inch. Okay, I've got a polyester thread in my machine today because I'm doing more industrial style sewing, let's call it. And I'm just going to roughly fold over here, and I'm getting close to a corner to show you how to handle that. So I've got about a 1/4 inch fold. This is a single fold at first, and I'm going to stitch. And then as I come around the corners, I'm just kind of twisting it. I'm going to let it wad up. I'm going to let it ripple and wrinkle, again, because this is going to be hidden in that 1-inch casing, but it starts to help create that edge. Sometimes I'll keep a little scissor handy so I can start to pull it and twist it as it goes. We're just burying the raw edge so we don't have any fiber causing problems down the road. Now you can start to see that working for me on that corner. Now I'm just rolling it and twisting it. And then once I come out of this corner, I'm going to have a super big espresso, jump into super caffeinated mode, and go all the way around as we do this. Nice and easy. Just like that. Again, this might get you the sloppy sewing award for the day, and that's okay. Because if anyone's looking on the bottom side of your ironing board, they really aren't your friend anyways. Okay, I'm going to hit caffeination mode. I'll be right back for that second row of stitching. All right, so we backstitched and we're at the all the way in. We've gone all the way around with that first seam to kill the raw edge. And let me show you, this here is a pretty decent corner. You can see it ripples a little bit as we go around, but again, we're just gonna take this and fold it over, no problem. Here's the first corner I was struggling a little bit more through, but even that ugly corner is not gonna show. Remember, it's on the bottom side of the ironing board. Now, we are going to install our draw cord, so I'm gonna start by leaving my opening back here. I'm not going to bother putting a buttonhole or anything in here. It's the underside of an ironing board cover that I will be replacing again within a year's time. So you can put a buttonhole if you would like. It would go right there, but I'm just going to leave a little opening. So we're going to start on the back end. Now this time I'm folding over enough to get that cording through there. I don't recommend trying to do the cording while you're sewing. It's just too much to keep track of. I do have a little edge guide that I've clamped there with a magnet to my bed of my machine. And I'm going to do a definite back stitch. A couple of them as a matter of fact, because that's going to be the entry for where the cord goes through. And now I'm just going to, one more time, start working my way around here, keeping a nice equal distance to feed that draw cord. The corners will be a little prettier. They won't be awesome, but they'll certainly be functional. And I'll be right back with that done and show you how to get that draw cord in there. Now, as I'm coming into this end here, I've got about a 2-finger opening I'm going to leave. So I'm just going to come up a little bit closer. And again, backstitch myself several times so I can put some good pressure on that. And I probably shouldn't point it out because you all think I'm a professional out there, but you'll see that I really butchered the nose of my cover. But you know what? Again, we just have to be able to slide our cord through there. This is not going to show. So if you're struggling on some of those corners, hey, either teach me how to do it better or don't worry about it yourself because it's going to totally work. Watch this. We're going to get ready for our draw cord next. Okay, so down on my opening here, I'm going to take my draw cord. And I'm going to want a lighter so I can melt it at the end. I want my little clippy handy here. And then I'm also going to want to get myself a safety pin and run this up through just like if it was my sweatshirt cord, you know, that had come out in the dryer. One of my tricks is to get my cord completely loose though, so it doesn't tangle up as I'm going. So what I'm going to do is put a safety pin on the end, string this bad boy up and show you how to finish it. So I've almost made it all the way around my ironing board cover, not too difficult at all. Even those wadded up corners, right? And you can see I've been wearing my cable or my cord around my neck. And what I'm going to end up doing here as I pop this out is I'm going to first remove my safety pin that I've got, okay? So I'm going to take this off and then I'm going to take the cord lock and I'm going to slide it down on this one end first. And this is going to help me keep track of everything. Stick that through there like that, and I'm going to give myself a couple of inches of tail because I'm going to still tie this at the end. Now that I've got a hold of this, I can give myself more slack because I want to be able to extend all of the cord all the way through so that it's totally fit, nice and open. And we've got a lot of material here. And so by being able to have this cord lock down here, I'm not unpacking it and taking the drawstring right back out that I just put in. We don't want to do that. Okay, and I'm coming around using my elbow to kind of secure back behind me here. So this just takes a little bit of work, but nothing difficult. Okay. And that package of parachute cord is certainly plenty. You will have a little extra left over. I've got a really fun yarn caddy out there that uses that parachute cord too. So you might want to keep that handy. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, because I can see I've got a little bit of gather still around here, is I'm going to give myself about 8 or 10 extra inches over here. And first, I'm going to cut this. And then if you don't know, polyester or nylon cords can be melted and should be melted so that they don't continue to unravel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to secure that. Okay, so I've heated it. That's hot. Kids that are watching at home, you must have your parents help you with this, please, please, please. And then I'm also going to make my leftovers good too while I'm at it. So I'm just going to heat that for a few seconds, let it cool briefly, give it a little roll, and that'll secure it and make it easier to put into the cord lock later. Okay, so now I've got my cord lock here. And this will be fun because I pre-cut this ironing board cover, like I said, kind of generic, at home. This ironing board cover was here. So let's see if my generic ironing board actually fits on this actual board behind me. First, I want to secure this. So one last little knot back here so it doesn't get away from me. And then I can pull that all the way to the back because I want to be able to fit this here. So we'll start on our nose and we'll bring it around. Let's see if we can do this for all of us. Let's see, will that fit on our table okay? Okay, perfect. Little on demand here. Okay, so you see I've got plenty of fabric and plenty of edging to go all the way around, just like this. And then I come underneath and I start to take my draw cord and I cinch it up nice and tight. Look how great that fits. Nice and secure all the way around. Let me spin this just slightly. I'm not sure if you can see what's going on down here or not, but I've got all that cording. Now I can cinch this up nice and tight, like that. And then I'll either take this cord and tie it up under the bottom, or if I really knew that that was gonna go on once and never come back off, I could trim that back down and use the cord again for something else. I'm not that cheap. I'm gonna leave it right where it's at because I wanna get back to my other sewing projects now that I've got this wonderful new crisp and clean ironing board cover. So what we need from you in the comments today, I wanna hear about your best ironing disaster. What were you working on when things didn't go so well? And you now are happy to have this awesome ironing board cover tutorial right here at Man Sewing.